राष्ट्रीय जल मिशन, जल शक्ति मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार।
खेती के उपयोग में आने वाले पानी का अधिकतम उपयोग हो, इस दृष्टिकोण से मंत्रालय माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन में काम कर रहा है और हमने नेशनल वाटर मिशन में 20% तक पानी के उपयोग में कमी लाने का लक्ष्य रखा है। सतह पर जो जल उपलब्ध है उसका उचित प्रबंधन, भूगर्भ के जो हमारे स्रोत हैं उनका ठीक से उपभोग हो, जो पानी हम अलग अलग क्षेत्र में उपयोग में लेते हैं उसका विवेकपूर्ण उपयोग हो और उसके साथ साथ में जो पानी उपयोग के बाद में निकलता है उसका ठीक से ट्रीटमेंट हो, तो हम जल सुरक्षित देश को बना सकते हैं।
जलवायु परिवर्तन का विशेष ध्यान रखते हुए नेशनल एक्शन प्लान ऑन क्लाइमेट चेंज के तहत नेशनल वाटर मिशन की स्थापना की गई, ताकि जल संरक्षण को बढ़ावा मिले, जल की बर्बादी को कम किया जा सके और राज्यों के भीतर एवं राज्यों के बीच जल का अधिक समान रूप से वितरण सुनिश्चित किया जा सके। राष्ट्रीय जल मिशन के प्रमुख उद्देश्य हैं जल का डेटाबेस सार्वजनिक रूप से प्रस्तुत रखना और जल संसाधनों पर जलवायु परिवर्तन के प्रभाव का आकलन करना, जल संरक्षण वृद्धि और संरक्षण के लिए नागरिक और राज्य कार्रवाई को बढ़ावा देना, शोषित क्षेत्रों सहित संवेदनशील क्षेत्रों पर ध्यान देना, 20% तक जल उपयोग कुशलता में वृद्धि करना और बेसिन स्तर के एकीकृत जल संसाधन प्रबंधन को बढ़ावा देना।
देश के अंदर जितनी भी वर्षा होती है एक वर्ष के अंदर, हम उसका केवल 8% ही बचा पा रहे हैं। तो ऐसी दृष्टि को मद्देनजर रखते हुए हमें युद्ध स्तर के ऊपर जो है अपने जल प्रबंधन के कार्य को आगे बढ़ाने की आवश्यकता है और हमारा मंत्रालय जो है उस दिशा के अंदर सतत प्रयास कर रहा है।
अपने लक्ष्य की ओर बढ़ते हुए राष्ट्रीय जल मिशन ने अनेकों कदम उठाए हैं, जिसके तहत कैच द रेन नामक एक खास कैंपेन शुरू किया गया है, जिसकी टैगलाइन है कैच द रेन वेयर इट फॉल्स व्हेन इट फॉल्स। इसमें राज्य सरकारों, सामाजिक संस्थानों, सरकारी और गैर सरकारी संस्थानों से एप्रोप्रिएट रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर्स का निर्माण और उसके उपयोग का अनुरोध किया है, जो कि वहां के सॉइल और क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस के अनुरूप हो और वर्षा के पानी को बचाने और कुशलता से उपयोग करने की इस मुहिम में अधिकाधिक लोगों को साथ जोड़ने की पहल की गई है। साथ ही विभिन्न कलेक्टर्स को जिला स्तर पर रेन सेंटर्स की शुरुआत करने का अनुरोध भी किया गया है, जिसके माध्यम से आम लोगों को वर्षा जल संचय से जुड़ी तकनीकी जानकारी दी जा सके। कुछ प्रमुख संस्थानों और मंत्रालयों ने वर्षा जल को संरक्षित करने के लिए कदम भी उठाए हैं। जल संरक्षण में समाज की भागीदारी को बढ़ावा देने के लिए कई संस्थाओं को भी साथ जोड़ने की पहल की गई है।
Both in urban areas and rural areas, rainwater harvesting system must be made mandatory while sanctioning plans. We must ensure that water is not wasted and the groundwater reserves are recharged when the rain falls on the ground. We must catch the rain and store it. I am happy that the National Water Mission's campaign is taking up a timely initiative called Catch the Rain When It Falls.
वर्षा जल संचय की महत्ता को ध्यान में रखते हुए समाज की जानी मानी हस्तियों ने भी इस कैच द रेन कैंपेन को बढ़ावा और सहयोग दिया। राष्ट्रीय जल मिशन लगातार जल संरक्षण हेतु ट्रेडिशनल वाटर सिस्टम के रिवाइवल के लिए कार्य कर रहा है। इस दिशा में भारत के स्टेप वेल्स की धरोहर को संजोते हुए राष्ट्रीय जल मिशन द्वारा स्टेप वेल्स ऑफ इंडिया नामक एक किताब लोकार्पित की गई, जिसमें 100 यूनिक और इंटरेस्टिंग स्टेप वेल्स की जानकारी मौजूद है।
We use as much as 85% of the water resources for irrigation alone, and therefore depleting the groundwater tables. So we have a situation where we need to improve the management of our water resources, and this cannot be done only through the central and state government programs, because water touches our lives, and that's where the National Water Mission has launched major initiatives. It conducts regular talks. Every third Friday there is a talk on water, and on every second Friday there is a talk on water technology issues. Apart from these initiatives, there is the initiative of Jal Shakti Abhiyan, which was conceived of in 2019. For a campaign to be really successful, it has to have the commitment of the top political leadership. And what better commitment can be there if the Prime Minister of the country gives this clarion call to the citizens to participate in this program.
भारत के ज्यादातर हिस्सों में मई जून में बारिश शुरू होती है। क्या हम अभी से अपने आसपास के जल स्रोतों की सफाई के लिए, वर्षा जल के संचयन के लिए 100 दिन का कोई अभियान शुरू कर सकते हैं? इसी सोच के साथ अब से कुछ दिन बाद जल शक्ति मंत्रालय द्वारा भी जल शक्ति अभियान कैच द रेन भी शुरू किया जा रहा है। इस अभियान का मूल मंत्र है कैच द रेन वेयर इट फॉल्स व्हेन इट फॉल्स। हम अभी से जुटेंगे। हम पहले से जो रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग सिस्टम है उन्हें दुरुस्त करवा लेंगे, गांवों में, तालाबों में, पोखरों की सफाई करवा लेंगे, जल स्रोतों तक जा रहे पानी के रास्ते की रुकावटें दूर कर लेंगे, तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा वर्षा जल का संचयन कर पाएंगे।
जल संरक्षण की अधिकाधिक जागरूकता और प्रशिक्षण का फैलाव भी किया जा रहा है, जिसके तहत वाटर टॉक नामक लेक्चर सीरीज चलाई जा रही है। इस पहल को ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचाने के लिए इस वाटर टॉक सीरीज को डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म के माध्यम से आगे पहुंचाया गया, और जिसके कारण न केवल प्रतिभागियों की संख्या बढ़ी, बल्कि देश विदेश से भी लोग इसमें शामिल हो रहे हैं। साथ ही इन वाटर टॉक्स का सार एक बुक में भी कंपाइल किया गया है। इसके अलावा नेशनल वाटर मिशन की तरफ से वाटर कंजर्वेशन के अलग अलग टॉपिक्स पर टेक्निकल सेमिनार्स और वेबिनार्स भी किए जाते रहे हैं। साथ ही जिला अधिकारियों और म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर्स के साथ वीकली वेबिनार्स भी किए जाते हैं, जिसमें उनके द्वारा उनके क्षेत्र में की जा रही बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस की चर्चा की जाती है।
एवरी डीएम्स को रिक्वेस्ट किया कि हर जिले में एक रेन सेंटर नहीं तो एक जल शक्ति केंद्र खोलने के लिए, इस जल शक्ति केंद्र में जल के बारे में जितने भी जानकारी लोगों को मिलना चाहिए उसी के बारे में जानकारी मिलते हैं। बट वी हैव टू मेक पीपल अंडरस्टैंड द वैल्यू ऑफ वाटर and engage them in discussions, engage them in thinking about the value of water, so that they leave behind a very good legacy for their next generation.
सिंचाई क्षेत्र में सुधार के लिए 26 बेसलाइन स्टडीज भी की गयी और साथ ही मांग प्रबंधन यानी डिमांड साइड मैनेजमेंट के लिए सही फसल नामक कैंपेन चलाया जा रहा है, ताकि किसानों को उनके क्षेत्र के अनुसार कम पानी की खपत वाली फसल की बुआई के लिए शिक्षित और प्रोत्साहित किया जा सके। और इसके लिए किसानों को वर्कशॉप्स भी दी जा रही हैं। राष्ट्रीय जल मिशन के इस कैंपेन के चलते कुछ राज्यों ने क्रॉप डाइवर्सिफिकेशन को प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए अपनी पॉलिसी में बदलाव भी किए। औद्योगिक क्षेत्र में भी जल के कुशल उपयोग के लिए नेशनल वाटर मिशन लगातार निगरानी बनाए हुए है, जिसके तहत कई विभिन्न उद्योगों में वाटर ऑडिट्स भी किए जा रहे हैं। BIS की पार्टनरशिप के तहत वाटर अप्लायंसेस के स्टार रेटिंग का काम भी हो रहा है। जल क्षेत्र में स्टेट स्पेसिफिक एक्शन प्लान की संरचना के लिए राष्ट्रीय जल मिशन द्वारा राज्यों को वित्तीय सहायता भी दी जाती है। इतना ही नहीं, विभिन्न रूप से जल संरक्षण को व्यवहार में लाने वाले संस्थानों को प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए नेशनल वाटर मिशन अवार्ड्स के जरिए 45 लाख रुपए तक के कैश प्राइजेस भी वितरित किए गए। साफ पानी और स्वच्छता मानव जीवन को पूर्ण रूप देते हैं। ये सच है, जल जीवन है, जल ही शक्ति है।
COP26, the UN Climate Change Conference held early in November in Glasgow, specially brought countries together to collectively plan a roadmap to the global challenges posed by climate change. India is also one among those countries which are which is at the risk of getting impacted by extreme weather events, be it cyclones, be it droughts, or any other disasters, which in turn impacts the communities. The communities which are the ones who face these extreme weather events, and also they lack the economic resources to adapt. A very good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anupma, the director and editor of Water Digest, and I welcome you all in the 15th Water Tech Talk, wherein we are honored to have with us Shri Vijay Kumar Thalam, Executive Vice Chairman, Prithu Sadhikara Samastha, a government corporation for farmers' empowerment, and ex-officio Special Chief Secretary to Government Natural Farming, Agriculture and Cooperation Department, Government of Andhra Pradesh, who has brought along today his rich experience working closely with the communities. We'll talk and hear more from Sir on the climate resilient natural farming and learning from Andhra Pradesh Community Managed Natural Farming. Welcome, sir. Like always, we are honored to have with us Shri G. Ashok Kumar, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, National Water Mission, who is leading this Water Talk and Water Tech Talk series since past almost 2 years. So without further ado, I now request Ashok ji to kindly share his welcome address and also tell us more about our honorable speaker today and the topic chosen. Over to you, Ashok ji. So like, as we know that, when we are connected through this virtual platform, yes, there is a positive part of it that we are able to connect people from far across the world. And at the same time, we have to at times give it to technology. And I think because of that, we right now do not have Ashok sir with us on this platform. I think some technical glitch, and we hope that he'll join us soon. And by the time Ashok sir joins us, we again welcome our esteemed speaker today. And just to give you a quick background, sir is physics honors, who started with the physics honors and then joined government the departments in 1983. And he is allotted to Andhra Pradesh cadre, an IAS officer who brings along his rich experience of 38 years in the service and has spent more than 25 years in large-scale community mobilization and promotion of livelihoods of rural women, tribal communities, and farmers. And you got to hear about it more once we'll hand it over to Vijay sir. He spent a record 10 years, 2000 to 2010, as a CEO of Social Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty in Andhra Pradesh, and led the mobilizing and empowerment of 11.5 million rural power women into thrift and credit-based self-help groups and their federation. And there is much more about his experience. And for that, I'll hand it over to Ashok ji for his welcome address, as well as tell more about sir's experience. Ashok ji, you joined us for a short while. Do we have you with us? Yeah. So
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for waiting. So this is the problem with all the technical problems. This is the first time.
Yeah, I did mention that, when we have the positivities of having a, virtual platform, these are certain things where we have to, these are the limitations. So Ashok sir, while we were waiting for you, I thought I'll just start with a bit of introduction about Vijay sir, but I'm sure you are the best person to introduce him. And before you introduce sir, maybe I'll also request a welcome and note from your side. Over to you, Ashok ji.
Very good afternoon, sir. It's a pleasure to have Vijay Kumar sir with us. He is our mentor. He was my mentor, so he had been always hand-holding us as usual for many young officers in the cadre. So he's from my cadre only. Sir has been synonymous with poverty alleviation in India throughout, because many years he had been in working with the grassroots level people, and that's the biggest strength. I don't think not many people in the country in the service can claim to have so much of experience with rural development and livelihood. And in fact, sir had been the backbone of the National Rural Livelihoods Mission of the Government of India. And I'll come to his qualifications later. So I just take 2 minutes to tell the audience about the success of the Catch the Rain campaign. We had the campaign which was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister on 22nd March, went on till about November 22nd, November 30th. Sir, I'm very happy to inform, sir, with the people's participation, which is your hallmark. So we had taken up the entire campaign as a people's movement. And while launching it also, Honorable PM addressed the Sarpanchas. Nearly 2.5 lakh Sarpanchas of the country were virtually addressed to the media, and he himself wrote letters to all of them, which is again a very interesting thing, because Sarpanchas, many of them are so proud to get a letter from the Prime Minister on his own. So they were all motivated to get on to that. And that's why, despite losing 1 month on COVID and 1 month for the vaccination drive, sir, the intensive vaccination drive, the district administration, with the help of the Gram Panchayat and people's participation, could do about 45 lakh structures. It's a very amazing number which we have done, sir. 45 lakh structures of water bodies were built. Along with that, we also planned almost 37 crore afforestation related activities taken up. This is a figure which has come into our portal. So there are still many districts to report, so it may go up. And we also was not confining only to the rural areas. It was in urban and rural areas. So we also looked at activities like reviving the traditional water bodies like step wells, etc. So very interesting connect, which I can tell you, sir. In Telangana, Narayanpet also a lot of step wells were revived. In Hyderabad, when we were revived, and we could connect them with the people with the help of this during the Batkama festival and all the Kartika Purnami festival. People were coming back to this step wells and doing dances and all. So that connect we could establish, and almost 2 lakh step wells have been. Okay. Almost 2 lakh step wells, sir. We have taken up. Traditional water bodies we have taken up in the country, sir. That has very, very successful in that. And also, we had collected a database of water bodies, almost 15, 16 lakhs, sir. And Jal Shakti Kendras were established, nearly 300 of them, because these Jal Shakti Kendras are a unique concept where we thought that since the Jal Shakti Kendra we had brought up, sir, because water is divided into many silos. So, rural development is looking after it, irrigation department is looking after it, agriculture is looking after it, industry is looking after it. Then there is no single point of communication with the states also. Because I think realized this big mistake. We wanted to at least start from the ground level in every district, a Jal Shakti Kendra, which would be the repository of all information. Because you will appreciate, sir, every part of the country is different. So the what is the suitable rainwater structure in probably Adilabad may not be suitable in probably some district in Odisha because of the climatic conditions as well as the soil substrata conditions. So we want somebody to give them technical guidance on the local, locally suitable rainwater harvesting structures, and also do handholding for them to do that. So that is one of the main jobs of Jal Shakti Kendra, sir. Second, it will also be the repository of all information of water related information of the district, whether it's rainfall, whether it is the river flow, whether it is the blocks which are critical, which are subcritical, which are normal, Also, the type of cropping patterns that can be taken up there, the information on the various micro irrigation practices, advices on cropping patterns, because what you are also doing, sir, natural farming, we'll also keep them here. So this is actually an integration or a one platform for all the villages, all the people to come and sound. And we have said that they will not handle any finances. It's basically an information center. Each department will be handling their own finances, so that we are not getting it. Only information, guiding, and getting people onto the track. That's what we are planning to do with the Jal Shakti Kendra, sir. So very happy to say that despite all this constraint, nearly 300 Jal Shakti Kendras have been sanctioned, and we are also using them to go for the scientific planning of the water harvesting structures. Once we are enumerating the water bodies, sir, almost 15, 16 lakh water bodies of bigger sizes have been enumerated with photographs and launch positions, etc. That we are using it for the scientific planning of database. As per the information available, sir, with the help of this Rural Development Department, we have done almost 2.9 lakh villages have prepared the action plan. It's an amazing achievement, sir. The treating of the rural development people, because we are converging with all the departments, the Rural Development Department, Ministry of Environment, Forest, Urban Department, everybody were part of this campaign, sir. So they have prepared the action plan, and we will be trying to modify it and then maybe improvise it. So that's one of the major achievement of getting 2.5 lakh the Gram Panchayat plans from the Gram Panchayat, sir. And on November 30th, when we were officially sort of closing down the program, we have told that all Gram Sabhas should be reassembled again for to discuss about water bodies, and also what we have taken up in the last 6 months. So it's basically to ensure transparency and also to see that their participation is very much involved. So we are truly trying to make it as a Jan Andolan, sir. So, and I should not be talking about Jan Andolan to sir, because so the spearing head of the SHG movements of women. So the Andhra Pradesh was the pioneer in the Dawkra movement, and sir was the person who was leading that in Andhra Pradesh, and he had large number of people, women joining in the movement, and that was probably one of the biggest empowerment of the women in Andhra Pradesh. But sir, he has a very, very academically eminent person. Vijay Kumar sir belongs to 83 batch of Indian Administrative Service, Andhra Kada. But before that, he had taken a BSc degree from physics honors from the prestigious St. Stephen's College, Delhi, an MBA from the Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi University in 1977. And in 38 years of government service, he had spent most of his years in community mobilization and promotion of livelihood, particularly for rural women and tribal communities and farmers. It was always a pleasure to work with him and the guidance with him, and so much of attached to the ground and simple solutions which can really change the life of people. That's what sir have been doing it. So from 2000, he was the CEO of the Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty, set up in Andhra Pradesh in 2000. He was CEO for almost 10 years, 2000 to 2010, and empowering and mobilizing about 11.5 million rural poor women into thrift and self-credit group, as I mentioned before, and then made federations of them. Also started multiple livelihood programs to come out of the poverty. From there, he was moved to the centers in 2010 to 2015. He was the first mission director for the National Rural Livelihood Mission of the Government of India. So he had in that capacity mobilized about 100 million rural women into SSGs and federations. So this movement has become a very big movement, a strong, sustainable movement in the country. So he went back to the government of AP in 2015 as Special Chief Secretary of Agriculture Department, and very initiated another innovative natural concept of zero-based natural farming program. For us, for Water Mission, this is very important because agriculture occupies draws away 85 to 90% of water, and in the most inefficient way. So there is a lot of things which we can do. So that's why National Water Mission, and also if you've seen in the video, we have done the Sahi Fasal campaign. Sahi Fasal means the right crop. And we had actually taken up it in Punjab, Amritsar, in Kurukshetra, Haryana, in Aurangabad, in Maharashtra, to nudge the farmers to go for crops which use water efficiently or less intensively. Some of the states have given results, sir. So we are looking forward to hear you from you on this program, how we have made climate resilient AP community management, national farming, or what is called as the zero-based natural farming, sir. I am not getting into that topic because you will be presenting us with all the details. And presently, sir is the Vice Chairman Production of the Champions of Network of the United Nations Food Systems, which was held in September 2021. Over to you, sir. We all are looking to hear from you from agriculture from a water perspective. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ashok, for a very generous introduction. And thank you, Anupamaji. I must first thank the National Water Mission. I think this is a very innovative outreach that you have embarked upon. I'm very impressed. I went through some of the earlier videos of Water Tech just to see the diversity of people who have appeared on this. So my kudos to you, Ashok. I mean, this is, of course, innovation has been your hallmark right from at least your days as district collector of Nizamabad, which you did such an outstanding job. I think people still remember your work. So I think innovation, I'm really amazed because the kind of people you have brought together on this Water Tech Talk, Water Talk. And when I heard the Honorable Prime Minister, the Minister and Secretary, I think the importance of water and what we should do with water, I think needs to be emphasized again and again to everyone so that everyone is alerted to what needs to be done. So today, what I will do is I will, take my presentation is around natural farming and the connection with water. And I hope at the end of my presentation, you will get people listening to this will get a different glimpse of what is the connection between water, soil, crops, human, animal health, climate change. So I'll share my presentation, but before that, I have a small video to show. This is something prepared by the UN Environment on our work. So it'll just give people an overview of our work. So I hope the technology works. Yes, seems to be working.
సీజన్ బట్టి మనకు ఏవైనా పంటలు సీజన్ బట్టి పండించుకుంటాం. ఏ సీజన్కి ఏ పంట వస్తున్నది అది మనకు తెలుస్తుంది కాబట్టి ఆ పంట వేసుకొని మనం పండించుకుంటాం. మేము మా అమ్మవారి ఇంట్లో అయితే చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి మా అమ్మ వాళ్ళు రైతులు కాబట్టి చదువుకుంటూ మేము వ్యవసాయం పనులు నేర్చుకునే వాళ్ళం మా అమ్మ వాళ్ళతో పాటు వెళ్ళి. నా పేరు అంటిపర్తి సత్యావతి, మాది కొండదొర. మేము వరి పండిస్తాము, అలాగే రాగులు, సామలు, జొన్నలు, కందులు, మినుములు పండిస్తాము. ఫస్ట్లో అయితే మా అమ్మ నాన్నలు తర్వాత ఇలాంటి కొత్త పద్ధతులు అప్పుడు ఏమి ఉండేవి కాదు. పూర్వ పద్ధతిలోనే వాళ్ళు పండించేవారు. ఆ ప్రకారమే ఫస్ట్ పండించాము. అంటే అంతకుముందు మా కుటుంబము యూరియా డీఏపీలతో పండించేవారు వరి పంట. కెమికల్స్ అంటే వాటిల్లో వేస్తే ఎదుగుతుంది కానీ బలం ఉండదు దాంట్లో. మనము ఏది విత్తినా సరే మనకు అది మొలకత అంటూ వస్తుంది కానీ ఆదాయం అనేది తగ్గిపోతుంది. అంటే భూమి అదే చెడిపోయినట్టుగా మాకు అనిపిస్తుంది.
Agriculture, even though in the initial years, the farmers found that the higher yields was able to offset the costs. Over the years, they found that they had to increase the dosage of fertilizers and they had to invest in pesticides. So they were mounting costs of cultivation for the farmer, and the food produced was compromised in quality and also in safety. So the chemical agriculture was a disaster for the farmers, for the consumers, for the farm workers, and the biggest disaster for the environment and for our future generation. Mother Nature has a perfect solution.
పెళ్ళైన తర్వాత ఈ ఊర్లో పెళ్లి చేసుకొని వచ్చినప్పటి నుంచి కొన్ని పద్ధతులు అంటే కొన్ని సంస్థల ద్వారా కొన్ని కొత్త పద్ధతులు నేర్పించడం జరిగింది. అదే శ్రీ పద్ధతి ఒకటి చెప్పిన ఇది ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయం గురించి తెలుసుకొని ఆ ప్రకారము వ్యవసాయం చేస్తున్నాం. ఇదైతే ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయంలో అయితే మనం సొంతంగా మన ప్రకృతిలో దొరికే అనేక రకాలైన అదే మందులతో మనం దాన్ని తయారు చేస్తాం. కషాయాలు కానీ అనేక రకాలైన చేదు ఆకులతో అవి కషాయాలు తయారు చేసి పిచికారీ చేయడం ద్వారా మేము చాలా వరకు మందులు కొనుక్కోకుండా మన స్వతసిద్ధంగా దాన్ని మనము తయారు చేసుకొని పిచికారీ చేస్తే దాన్ని పంటని మనం రక్షించుకోవచ్చు. ఫస్ట్ ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయం చేయడము మా ఇంట్లో వాళ్ళే. భూమి సారవంతమైందనేసి మనం ముందు దానికి ఇప్పుడు మనం పండించేదానికి డిఫరెంట్ తెలుస్తుంది కదండి.
In the fight against climate change, we want to use all the tools that we have in the toolbox, and soils provide us an excellent opportunity. A rich soil, a fertile soil. Why is it fertile? Because it has uptaken a lot of carbon. And so we are storing carbon in rich soils, retaining that in the soils, which is good for climate, obviously, carbon sequestration. But it is, and here's the amazing part, it is also good for productivity, agricultural productivity. We're seeing yields that grow from about 20 to 200% increase. Now that's phenomenal because we are living in a world that is inching towards 10 billion. So then, if we can find a way to increase yields, that is amazing.
ఇట్లా మాట్లాడడం వల్ల మరి మేము చేసేది వాళ్ళు చూసారు, అలాగా నేర్చేసుకొని ఇది అవును ఇలా చేస్తే మంచిదని వాళ్ళు కూడా తెలుసుకొని చేయడం ప్రయత్నం. ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయం చేయడానికి ఎంత శ్రమనైనా దాన్ని మనము శ్రమించి కష్టపడి చేస్తేనే మనకు ఫలితం అనేది ఉంటుంది. మనం నేర్చుకున్నది ఇతరులు కూడా చెప్పాలి, వాళ్ళు కూడా నేర్పించాలి. మనం పొలం కాడ వెళ్ళినప్పుడు వ్యవసాయం పనులు చేస్తే పొలంలోనే ఉండిపోవాలనిపిస్తుంది. అంటే మనము చేసే దాంట్లో ఫలితాన్ని ఎక్కువగా వస్తుంటే మనకు సరదా అనిపిస్తుంది అన్నమాట. మేము కష్టపడిన దానికి బాగా వస్తుంది అన్నట్టు బాగా మాకు ఉత్సాహంగా కలుగుతుంది.
So that was the testimony of a farmer, Satyavati, from the tribal areas. So I'm happy that I could give you a glimpse of the tribal areas of Andhra Pradesh. So today my talk is on climate resilience. So natural farming, which is climate resilient, its implications for farmers' livelihoods and for water, because this is very intricately related. The water cycle is very, very important. Carbon cycle, water cycle. So they're all right now in a state of disarray. And I'm thankful to the National Water Mission. I'm very happy to be presenting the 15th Tech Talk. The vision in Andhra Pradesh is that all 8 million, 80 lakh farmers and landless farm workers should transform to natural farming. Next 1 or 2 years, we hope to have our footprint in every village in the state. Now, my first part is why should we do natural farming? What is natural farming? What are the results? The second half is around the link between water and natural farming. So that's how I've divided my talk. So first of all, why should we do natural farming? We are facing multiple crises, and the climate emergency is going to accentuate every crisis. This is a global picture, as much applicable to India, to Andhra Pradesh, as to any other part of the world. So we are seeing farmers' distress on account of increasing costs of cultivation. Then because of the extreme weather events, either there are prolonged dry spells or frequent cyclones. And you know very well from the water ministry that we are using 85% of water for agriculture. Even then there is shortage. So borewells are drying up. We're actually mining water. Apart from that, there are structural issues of tenants, small marginal farmers, and migration. And then market uncertainty for the produce. So all these problems are already existing. They are going to become worse with the increasing impacts of climate emergency. At the same time, as a consumer, everyone in India is also very badly affected by what is happening on the production side. So if we are not careful, we may, we may face food scarcity. Even if there is no food scarcity, we are having nutritional deficiency. Then the food we are eating is not safe. There are chemical residues. Third, the food that we are eating lacks many essential nutrients. Some of them may be required in very small quantities. And on the other hand, we have some metals which should not be there in those quantities. You have lead, arsenic, in some cases cadmium, nickel. These are all poisonous if they are present above the threshold levels. And this again is caused by groundwater, surface water which is polluted. So there is a connection between the water that is used for irrigation, the water that is, and the way in which we cultivate the crops. So water connection, very important in the kind of grains that we produce, in kind of whether we are going to produce healthy food or we are going to produce unhealthy food, which again leads to sickness. So therefore, as a consumer, consumers are also facing very serious problems. So it's not a problem of farmers alone, it's a problem of farmers, consumers. But then there's a third dimension, which is around soil, around environment crisis. Within environment, if you see, I would say there's a soil emergency. India loses around 5 billion tons or 500 crore tons of topsoil every year. And water stress and water emergency, you're all aware of that. With 84% water being used for agriculture, then all other sectors are squeezed. Then increasingly we'll have global warming is a reality, and there are unsustainable biodiversity losses, and water pollution again is a very serious concern. Whether it is so, the way we are producing the crops is creating water pollution, and water pollution is leading to unsafe crops. So it's a vicious cycle. So there are these multiple crises, and this is an important slide. The way we are producing food itself is causing climate change. So you have farmers who are at the the frontline climate warriors, I would call them. But at the same time, the way they are doing farming is causing climate change. So it's ironical that it looks as if to put out fire, instead of pouring water, we are pouring petrol. which is again increasing the fire. So this is a vicious cycle we are in. And over the last 10,000 years, ever since agriculture started, agriculture has been leading to loss of topsoil, whether it's through deforestation, forest fires, burning crop residues, ploughing, or keeping lands fallow, overgrazing, excess irrigation, wind and water erosion. But over the last 50, 60 years, the use of synthetic chemicals has accelerated the losses. So just want everyone to be aware that farming is a victim of climate change. At the same time, the way we are doing farming is causing climate change. So is there a solution? And that has been our effort all over the world also, is to find a solution. So is there a solution which connects all these emergencies? You don't want a solution for farmers separate from solution for consumers and for environment. So we believe very strongly that farming in harmony with nature is good for people and for planet. And the results that we are getting and what we are doing will, I hope, convince all of you that this is perhaps the best solution. So what have we done? We are saying let us learn from nature. After all, the soil that has been formed is more than 400 million years old. Ever since life on Earth started around 420, 430 million years ago. So soil formation has been a part of the journey. So it's essentially leveraging the power of photosynthesis in plants to close the carbon cycle and build soil health, resilience, and nutrient density. So basically, we are mimicking nature. And, not very complicated, a very simple slide. Photosynthesis process is the basis for all food produced on the planet. That is the starting process. And only plants can do that. So under photosynthesis, plants are combining water and CO2. Of course, essentially solar energy is being converted into food. So of the photosynthesis produce, of the food prepared, 40% of the food is stored in the leaves, in the shoot system, above the ground. Around 30% of this food is stored in the roots, but 30% of food is pushed by the plant into the soil. And why would a plant do that? And this is not man-made. This is what's been happening over millions of years. So there is a, in nature, there's a logic for everything. So the root exudates, that means the food that the plant is pushing into the soil, is the food for the microbes, the bacteria, the fungi, the protozoa, archaea. And I'll not go through the entire slide. There is a food chain here. It's called the soil food web. So the basic purpose is these microbes and the other forms of life, they are exchanging nutrients with the plant. So they're getting carbon from the plant because that is critical for their lives. And in return, they are, exchanging, they're giving nitrogen to the plant, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, boron, almost 30, 40 elements that each plant requires in the right quantities are being made available through this process. Now, as a result of the process I explained, the outcome is that carbon from the air is getting into the soil. That means liquid carbon. After all, carbohydrates, all the photosynthesis products are like their carbon dioxide is becoming liquid carbon into the plants, into the soil. So soil carbon sequestration happens. And this is very important. If we push carbon into the soil rather than losing carbon from the soil, it is estimated that 1 additional gram of carbon can hold additionally 8 grams of water. So that is very important from point of view of life. And the microbial mechanism is very good for nutrient absorption, and the multiplication of the microbes also creates good soil structure. So soil porosity increases, and that, as all of you know, it's very important. Typically, our soils are non-porous and non-permeable, but as you can see in the middle, the action of the fungal hyphae, bacteria, root exudates, they create soil structure. So good quality soil means 50% should be air, 25% water, 25% air. So with this soil structure, you're actually enabling water to infiltrate into the soil, water to be held. And the third one, which is a very important breakthrough in the world, is water vapor harvested for irrigation. So as you can see, the way of nature is such that there is a very elegant treatment of water. Now, drawing from these nature's principles, we have defined universal principles of natural farming to enable these outcomes to enable these outcomes. So what are those principles? First and foremost, since photosynthesis is important, so soil should be covered with crops 365 days of the year, and these should be diverse crops. So if you have soil covered with crops, including trees, 365 days of the year, that means the plant is pushing food into the soil every day. So the more food the soil is getting, the more it gives back to the plants, and the more life is created below ground, which supports life above ground. So this is very, very important principle. So land should not be fallow, and this soil should not be disturbed, because then you are disturbing the microbial life. And integrating animals into farming becomes very important and very much part of our traditional agriculture, where farmers always had cattle and poultry, small ruminants. Then increasing the amount and diversity of organic residues. That means soil should not be bare. Either it should have living crops or should be covered with crop residues, or with farmyard manure or dung, etc. Then using bioinoculants, biostimulants as necessary catalysts. This is a very unique strength of Indian traditional agriculture or of the natural farming, is the use of biostimulants. I'll explain in the coming slides. And even pest management is done through a botanical extract, as you saw in the film where she was making a neem paste. And then we promote use of indigenous seed. And then our 9th box is actually a red box. There's no synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and weedicides. So you can see here in the first principle, we promote crop diversity. We should have multiple crops throughout the year, season after season. So you can see even the mango crop, there are pulse crops, there will be some millet crops. Then this is the biostimulants. So this first one is seed coating Bijamrit, made from cow dung, cow urine, lime, and a handful of chemical-free soil mixed in water. It's fermented for 12 hours. So it is applied on the seeds. So the seeds get a microbial coating, which then helps them in their germination and protecting them from the pest attack. Even seedlings are dipped into this. You saw in the film, Satyavati was dipping the seedlings into the Bijamrit. And this is called Ghana Jivamrit. Ghana means solid. So it's made from cow dung, cow urine, a bit of soil, and then jaggery and pulses flour. So it's mixed, so dried under shade for 5 days. This multiplies the microbes which are present in the animal and also in the soil. So then this applied, 200 to 400 kgs per acre, either in one dose or split doses. And the farmers are able to make it in their own field, not a rocket science. This is a liquid inoculum. This is called the Drava Jivamrit. So as you saw that, starting with the soil treatment before seeds are sown, then the seeds are coated. That is the second step. Third, when the plants germinate, again they get the bioinoculum or the Jivamrit. So this is once in 10 days, 15 days, once in 20 days, depending on the crop, depending on the soil, and both sprayed on the leaves and also along with the root zone application. So these are our women farmers making it collectively. And on the right side, you can see botanical pest formulations, pesticides. These are very simple formulations that people can prepare by themselves. On the left side, you see the mechanical devices, yellow, blue sticky traps. So pest management is complicated. So we use both preventive and when the pest attack is there, use the botanical pesticides. So we promote indigenous seeds, as I mentioned, which is just a beginning. We are asking farmers to keep their own seeds because modern science is now telling us that the microbes in the soil, they're also present in the outside the roots, inside the roots, outside the leaves, inside the leaves. They're present in the flowers, fruits, and finally in the seeds themselves. So that's called core microbiome. So each seed is also carrying its own set of microbiome. So then when it germinates, these microbes give signals to the related microbes. So they're very complicated. This science is becoming more and more clear. Some of the results are as recent as 5 years old. Now that was the principles, practices. Just to say what is the program as such, and I'm happy to inform all of you that the Andhra Pradesh Community Managed Natural Farming Program is acknowledged as the world's largest program in terms of number of farmers involved. So in about 5 years, we have enrolled, starting with 40,000 farmers in 700 villages, we now have 750,000 farmers and farm workers, landless farm workers, in 3,730 villages. So almost a 18-fold increase. So this kind of scaling up has not happened anywhere else. And I'll explain the reasons for the scaling up. And in this, we have about 480,000 farmers and 270,000 landless farm workers. For us, both are important. Farm workers are actually more vulnerable. So we need to promote livelihoods for them. And this program, we believe in long-term hand-holding. So this knowledge-intensive agriculture, it takes 3 to 5 years for a farmer to transit from the chemical agriculture to completely natural farming. And in Andhra Pradesh, like rest of the country, 86% farmers are small and marginal farmers, and our average holding is 1 hectare. So we have to take this to a very large number of farmers. The funding for this has come from Government of India schemes and state government. And in addition, Government of Andhra Pradesh has taken a loan from KfW Bank Germany to expand the program. So we have fund commitment of around 1,800 crores up to 2024. Of course, as the program expands, we'll get more funds. We're also supported by Azim Premji Philanthropy. So they have provided us 100 crores grant right in the beginning of the program, even before any results were obvious. So this is the size of the program and the funding mechanism. And results from the program are as follows. So there's a lot of apprehension that the yields go down. So we have been doing independent experiments with farmers who have completed the transformation versus the chemical agriculture farmers. And as you saw in the video, ED, UNEP saying yields go up, which is true. This is the last year's Kharif 2020 study. You can see these are the major crops: paddy, groundnut, cotton, black gram, red gram, and ragi. And paddy is the most important crop. 34% area is under paddy. So we got a yield increase of 4%, cost reduction of 25% in paddy, and 60% increase in net income. That means 20,000 rupees per hectare was the net increase in income of farmers. We can see similar results in other crops, somewhere 30,000 rupees net income increase, somewhere 40,000 in the case of red gram, 35,000. So anywhere from 60% to 600% is the increase in net income. And Honorable Prime Minister has been exhorting all of us to do our best in doubling farmers' income. So we believe that this is the best way of doubling farmers' income, along with very positive climate benefits. These are our results in Rabi. As you can see, again, yields are much higher in natural farming versus chemical agriculture. And these are very large-scale studies. I am told this size of the studies is perhaps the largest in the world. Then for the landless farm workers, we promote home gardens or homestead gardens, 12, 15, 18 different kinds of vegetables, fruits, fruit trees are grown in their own homestead. And these are very, very popular. And farmers tell us, how it helped them during the COVID crisis. They didn't have to go outside. They had their vegetable requirement met at home only. Then this has improved biodiversity, which is a very major impact. And you can see earthworm count has gone up, pollinators have come back. Just a few minutes on scaling up, because worldwide, even though this program, natural farming, agroecology, regenerative agriculture, organic farming, all of them are similar, have similar meanings. Even though everybody knows they are good for farmers, good for consumers, good for the planet, it has not scaled up. So what is it in Andhra Pradesh that has made it the world's largest agroecology program in terms of number of farmers in the sixth year itself? So there are about 6 major innovations: government support and advocacy, and government's belief in partnership with people, women's self-help groups, what Ashok mentioned. So the self-help groups networks were very critical for this scaling up. So government support, government partnership is number one reason for scaling up. Second, as you have seen, the knowledge that we are taking to farmers is in harmony with nature. But the way we take it to farmers is through videos, through good package of practices, farmer-friendly material. So the knowledge, the content, we take the farmers again very farmer-friendly. This is traditional knowledge combined with modern science. So we also have very eminent research institutions working with us in taking this forward. So it's traditional knowledge with the best of science backing it. And we encourage innovations. Then the third pillar is the social capital of the women self-help groups and their federations. In Andhra Pradesh, it's about 20-year-old movement, started in the year 2000. And then the extension system is from one farmer to another farmer. It's not a top-down system. It is the best practicing farmer who convinces other farmers. And the fifth pillar, which is very, very important, is support organizations or facilitating organizations. It's not that, we have given you some knowledge, you do it on your own. We actually help the farmers in the transformation. There are NGOs, there are farmer producer organizations, women's organizations involved in providing this long-term hand-holding support. And finally, collaborations with national institutions, global institutions, scientific institutions. So partnerships are very, very important. And this today is one example of that partnership, between Ministry of Water Resources and state government. So these are the 6 pillars of how unique the program is in terms of being scaled up like this. And many of these elements are present in other states. So India is actually ripe for scaling up this program all over the country. Now, I mentioned the Women's Self-Help Group program. Ashok also referred to it. In fact, he has led it very ably. So this started 20 years ago, and they have been involved in multiple interventions. So in 2016, when I started the program, I realized that my best bet were the women self-help groups. So currently, more than 100,000 self-help groups are involved in the program villages and 5,000 federations. So as you can see here, they have ensured that almost 75% of the landless poor are taken homestead gardens. And doing is better than talking. So 83% of the self-help group leaders are practicing natural farming. So therefore, their voice in promoting is very strong. So in Andhra Pradesh, around 87 lakh women are already organized into women self-help groups, village level federations, called VOs, village organizations, Mandal Samakhyas, and district federations. So what do they do? First of all, they discuss in their group meetings. So they plan and they finance the program. They also prepare inputs together. You can see here, women are preparing the Ghana Jeevamrit and doing seed treatment here. And they learn from each other. And they also ensure that the poorest among them are taken care of. So role of women self-help groups is extremely critical. It's the most important pillar which is leading the change. The farmer heroes, as I said, farmer to farmer dissemination. You can see the lady here. She is a champion farmer. So she practices, therefore, whatever she says has a lot of credibility. So it's not a question of your educational qualifications alone. It's a question of whether you are a good practitioner. So we have 6,000 such champion farmers. We'll be increasing their number by another 6,000 this year because our program is expanding horizontally. And we use plenty of ICT. And here you can see the video dissemination around different package of practices. We have made around 800 videos like this, both on package of practices and stories for inspiration. And this is a very important slide, just to show that these things don't happen overnight. It takes time. So a farmer doesn't change overnight. First year, we in the village, our champion farmers go to each household, try to convince them, attend group meetings. But first year, about 10-15% will enroll, but maybe only 5% will actually practice. But seeing the results, next year more farmers join, third year more. So by 5 years or 5 to 8 years, depending on the farming situation, we expect more than 85% to join the movement. But a farmer again takes time. She will take about 3 to 5 years. So this is knowledge intensive agriculture. It also depends on the peer group support that they get. And the cost of this transformation is very economical. It's around 15,000 rupees per farmer over 7 years, and assuming that one farmer equals 1 hectare. Then these are the scientific institutions who are working with us. The World Agroforestry Center is providing tremendous support to us, and they have just released the report on reduction in greenhouse gases through natural farming. University of Reading, UK is again helping us, FAO. Then Walter Yana, Australian climate scientist, he also gave a talk in Ministry of Water Resources when he was here in November 2019. And we have a range of, these are international institutions who are working with us, Cambridge University, then Tufts Woodhull Institute, USA, then range of national institutions. I'm very happy that we'll be working shortly with Valamtari to look at the reduction in water usage when farmers switch over to natural farming. So there's a very strong connection between water utilization and the method of raising the crops. with ICR, with our agriculture university, a lot of collaborations. We also have in-house research. We have a very strong team of researchers. This is just to tell you that we are combining modern science with traditional agriculture, and we support farmers' innovation. So there is no prescription. There is a recommendation, but farmers are free to use our recommendation, add on their own. And so this is the basis for our program. Now I just estimated what it will cost if we have to take this program all over the state. So this is it costs around 10,000 crores. I'll explain to you how this can be made into a self-financing proposal. So now what I will do is I will discuss the natural farming and implications for water. And this is the, after having given the background, from this you can know that it's good for livelihoods, good for climate, and good for a healthy food being given to everyone. But I believe that its implications for water are far-reaching, and I'm really grateful to Ashok and the Ministry of Water Resources for inviting me for this talk, because this is something extremely important for Ministry of Water Resources in their advocacy with other states. Now, if you can just look at what happens to raindrops falling on soils. So if 100 raindrops fall on the soil, this is a global average. It changes from country to country, but this is a global average. Only 2 drops are stored in all the big dams in the world. 2 drops out of 100. 12 drops are flowing in the streams. Now what happens to 86 drops? About 36 drops are what we call as the transpiration, the green growth, green water. So infiltrated into the soil, then transpired through the plants. But 50 drops, imagine this, 50 drops are runoff water, taking away topsoil. So 25 times the amount of water that is stored in the dams is actually the runoff water. It's a very serious issue. So in terms of the strategies that we are having is, how do you minimize this? How do you ensure that this 50 drops, more drops go into the transpiration, the green growth route? And a very innovative breakthrough that we achieved about 3 years ago is, how do you harness water in the air? This is one of the biggest resources. It's 10 rivers of water flying in the air. So through natural farming, the challenge we had, we went on this journey, is can we enable plants to harness moisture in the air? And that's what I'll be explaining to you in the remaining part. As I had already shown this slide to you. So I just mentioned that air contains 10 times the water in the rivers. So these 3 things are possible through natural farming: better water infiltration, greater water holding capacity, and harnessing water vapor for irrigation. So these are the outcomes. This is the linkage between natural farming and water. First and foremost, we can reduce the crop water requirement. I heard that the target is 20% reduction in water. And my results are amazing. I'll explain my results shortly. Then arresting unsustainable depletion of groundwater and reducing the electricity subsidy for irrigation for governments, because there is free electricity in almost all the states. And in Andhra Pradesh this year, state government will be spending 9,000 crores on subsidy for pumping, for electric motors, for pumping water for farmers. Then natural farming leads to resilience to floods. Then in semi-arid rain-fed lands, through natural farming, through this unique principle of harnessing water from the air, we can actually have 365 days green cover in all farming situations. We can have drought proofing. We can restore degraded lands, saline lands, and also enable unfallowing of lands. Because any land which is barren is contributing to climate change. Because the carbon is getting oxidized. Then can we increase cropping intensity? Country's cropping intensity is around 1.36. That means out of 12 months, we are growing crops for 4 to 5 months. 7 months, the land is fallow on an average across the country. Then can our irrigation tanks be more efficient? Instead of a tank irrigating 100 acres, can the same tank irrigate 200 acres, irrigate 300 acres? Then how do you enhance the safety of reservoirs through natural farming? I know it sounds too good to be true, but I can convince you that the results that we are getting are so incredible, something that we really hope that everyone, every farmer in the country, every government, every NGO can take this forward. This is on water saving. We conducted an experiment. This is for the last year, 2021. We did a paired comparison. A farmer doing natural farming and compared to a farmer practicing chemical agriculture. And we looked at those who were using pump sets. And we calibrated the pump sets, how much water flows. So we did for the 4 major crops: paddy, groundnut, chili, and cotton. Very large sample size, not a small sample size. And these are our results. In paddy, we found there is 48% reduction in water, groundnut 53%, cotton 57%, chili 45%. And what is interesting is year on year. So if a farmer was doing it for 5 years, her saving is 50%. First year it is 35%. So the longer a farmer does natural farming, the better the soil becomes and more efficient is the utilization of water. Greater water is held in the, in the subsoil. So we don't think 50% alone, we may go even to 70%. We don't know. So with greater, experience, we will know how much more water we can save. This is for groundnut. A 5-year farmer is able to save 67% water, and whereas first year it is 22%. So this is the potential. This is our actual results on ground. Now, since these results were so good, we thought we should get it validated externally. So we have requested Valamtari to do this work as an independent assessment. And I'm very happy to report that Niti Aayog has taken it up along with, IWMI, IMI, and a very eminent scientist to coordinate the work along with Valamtari. So I'll be sharing the results with all of you once we get the external assessment. But friends, believe me, these results were so good. I thought I must talk to the farmers directly to understand what is happening. So I asked them 30 years ago, how much water were you using? And then before you changed to natural farming 3 years ago, 4 years ago, how much water were you using because of the chemical agriculture? And today, after 3-4 years, how much water are you using? I'll give you a typical example. A farmer tells me 30 years ago, when he was young, used to go with his father. So they used to irrigate paddy once a week. But 3 years before the transformation to natural farming, they had to increase the frequency to every alternate day. And he told me that today, after 3 years of natural farming, he has gone back to his father's time once a week. And I told him that he must go back to his grandfather's time. It should become once a fortnight. So this is the potential that exists in reducing the water usage. Then you can see here flood resilience. In 2020 we had floods, 2021 we had floods, and these are 2 adjoining fields. The only difference is that one is grown through natural farming methods, the other is a chemically grown crop. So this is in the case of paddy. You can just see here in Guntur district, paddy and paddy. So we have been doing this documentation for different crops. So 95% crop damage on the chemical agriculture and 0 crop damage for natural farming. This is a chili crop. About 40% crop was lost for the chemical farmer, 0 loss for the natural farming farmer. This is turmeric, kadapa, 30% lost for the chemical farmer, no loss for the APCNF farmer. Now, this is something that I wanted to show, harnessing of water from the air, because of which we have expanded the seasons in Andhra Pradesh. So we don't have to wait for the monsoons. We call it pre-monsoon dry sowing. And, for dry lands, after the Kharif crop, we also have Rabi dry sowing. So what I will do is I'll just show a film, a video film, before I, take you to the rest of the presentation. This is This is Anantapur district, a semi-arid district. As you can see, there is no crop anywhere around except this field. So what is different about this field? What is unique about this field? This was shot in the month of March. You can see in the entire landscape, this is a drone shot. There are no crops anywhere.
కానీ అది అట్లే వస్తుంది సార్ జీవామృతం స్ప్రే చేయడం వల్ల. వర్షం కూడా లేకపోయినా ఈ మల్చింగ్ ద్వారా అది ఎప్పుడు పచ్చగానే ఉంటుంది, కాయ పూత ఎప్పుడు జరుగుతూనే ఉంది సార్. మాకు 25 రకాలు రోజు కోయడం రోజు అమ్మడం జరుగుతుంది సార్. రోజు డబ్బులు రావడమే జరుగుతుంది. అందువలన ఈ 50 సెంట్లు 60. That is the story of Pushpavati. This is from Anantapur, which is a drought-prone district. So this experiment we started in the year 2018 with just 11 farmers. We were trying to see, is it possible to harness this water from the air? I was inspired by Walter Ianna, an Australian scientist who I mentioned, also gave a talk. That was also organized by Ashok 2 years ago. So with 11 farmers, we have now reached 350,000 farmers in this 2021 season. It's been a remarkable breakthrough. It's a game changer. Last year, we had one more innovation. In 2020, Anantapur district wanted to try an experiment. And this is the result of that. So not only in the summer, can we ensure that even in the winter without irrigation, can we grow a third crop? So as you know, Anantapur is a drought prone district, semi-arid district, high temperatures, 560 rainfall. 17 out of last 20 years have been drought years. And it's almost like a desert. You can see this photograph at the bottom. That's how typically the district is. So we call this 365 days green cover. So pre-monsoon dry sowing and natural farming. So we wanted to see, and you saw in the picture, Pushpavati's film, that she's making money on a daily basis. Otherwise, typically in a rain-fed area, farmers will make money if the crop grows once. In Anantapur, for instance, 70% of the cultivated area is under a single crop, groundnut. If it fails, their entire income for the year is gone. So the farmers have to migrate. So we said farmers should get salary from the land every month, every week. So this was the initiative. So we started with 110 farmers in Anantapur. This year it has increased to 1,000 farmers in 6 districts. And next year, I plan to increase it to 10,000 farmers in all the 13 districts. So what exactly is this? This is Walter Jena, who came here to see in 2019. It was by listening to his lectures that I was inspired to try this innovation. And he gave a lecture in Niti Aayog in November 2019. And he said very clearly that pre-monsoon dry sowing in India is a global breakthrough. And we spent about 4 days. He has got vast knowledge in terms of where this water has come from. There's been no rain because the crop that you see here, according to Walter, he estimated that this crop would be around 12 to 15 tons per hectare, which was true. So this crop has consumed 15,000 tons of water. But water received through rainfall accounts for only 4,000 tons of water. So where is this balance coming from? Then he estimates, we are taking his help and other scientists' help to find out what are the different sources of water. And he estimates that 60 to 80% of this is water from the air harnessed by these plants. Now, why exactly it happens, how it happens, are things that we will be probing into, but sufficient to know that it is working and farmers are reaping the benefits. At the same time, science can help us to find out more. These are the 4 days of brainstorming. Walter was able to explain different kinds of water. He calls biological water, and then this is harnessing of water vapor, soil film water, deep water, etc. I'll not go into this. So as a result of this 365 days green cover, we are now planning for 3 crops in a year. That means farming can start in April itself. Why should we wait for rains? So April to June, July is what we call the pre-monsoon dry sowing window. Then June, July to October is the Kharif window, and then the winter window, Rabi window, November to March. So in the red soils, we have one kind of crop combinations, and black cotton soils, other kind of crop combinations. We are trying for each major crop, we are trying these 3 windows. And I'll give you the example of Pushpavati. You saw her film, and this is the field where she started work in April 2020. This is all dry soil, no rainfall. And she has taken 24 kinds of seed. Then we did seed pelletization using Bijamrut, clay powder, then Ganajivamrut powder, and finally wood ash coating. And water is sprayed, in between. So this is how the seed pellets look like. These are seed pellets of different seeds. You can see here dry sowing happening on 4th of April. So they dibble the seed. They also push some Ganajivamrut, and then they cover the soil with crop residue, mulch. So Sesbania sticks and groundnut shell. And you can see here with very little the pre-monsoon rainfall. So 30 days after sowing, all the seeds have germinated. You have millets here, you have pulses, oil seeds, green leafy vegetables, gourds. So this is a crop, 45 days, very healthy crop. No one will believe, and there is no crop anywhere nearby. This is 60 days. Then in July, they took up the main crop, that is the groundnut crop. But groundnut not as a monocrop. So she has applied, covered the ridges with groundnut shell. So this germination of groundnut crop. You can is a drone shot. You can see the mulch in the furrows and top ridges also with mulch, and healthy growth of groundnut crop, 30 days. This is 72 days. And as you can see, there are different crops. You have castor here, you have red gram, you have field beans. You can see sorghum somewhere. Yeah, this is castor crop. This is 100 days. Yeah, the sorghum. A lot of beans crops are there. Then the third window is green leafy vegetables. About 20 odd different vegetables. So this tomato, coriander, chilies. In hot summer, March. I went to her field in March. And there's no crop anywhere. And her field was cool. This is red gram crop in March. This is her field in May. You can see castor. You can also see field beans. There are other crops also. You're not able to see them. You have brinjal there. You can see how green it is in May. So this is another farmer. She took land which was fallow for 10 years, brought it to life in the very first year. It's also from Anantapuram, Vanurama. She actually spoke about her story to the Honorable Prime Minister, who commended her. This is another farmer who has taken in dry land and very poor, salty, alkaline soils. And you can see he has got brilliant results. But he is focused on the tree crops. You can see his, along with trees, vegetable crops. So it is very, very possible. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier slide, it may cost us around 10,000 crores to take this to all the farmers and to cover all the 60 lakh hectares. But the saving for the government in terms of electricity saving alone, we estimate at 18,000 crores. And here I have taken only 25% saving. So anything above that means more savings. And then fertilizer subsidy saving to a tune of 36,000 crores. So 1 rupee invested in taking natural farming forward will save 5.5 rupees for the government, state and central government. Apart from benefits to farmers and apart from the ecosystem benefits. The other benefit is the cropping intensity. In Andhra Pradesh, it's only 1.26. And this is the overall picture. So we can actually take 2 crops, 3 crops in a year. And more important, if you see Andhra Pradesh, 32 lakh hectares are fallow lands, either current fallows or fallows for more than 5 years, or lands which are saline, not being cultivated, degraded lands. I just combined all of them into lands that are not being used. So in some districts, actually, the lands which are fallow, the area is more than the land sown area. So this is a tragedy. So it's through natural farming that we can actually bring this land back to life and increase the farmers' incomes, livelihoods. So to summarize, we have been able to show that there is very significant reduction in crop water requirement. Through that, we can arrest depletion of groundwater, reduce the electricity subsidy for government. We have lots and lots of examples of resilience to floods. We are able to establish on a large scale that 365 days green cover in all farming situations. So this in turn leads to drought proofing, restoration of degraded lands, increasing cropping intensity. And since we can grow crops with very little water, so we can actually add Ayacut to the existing irrigation tanks and enhancing the safety of reservoirs, because once the soil becomes spongy, once the infiltration increases, water holding capacity of the land increases. So the rush of water in a rain situation comes down. So we would like, Ministry of Water Resources to help us in studying how natural farming can lead to saving the, irrigation tanks, safety of the reservoirs. So research needs to be done here, and I seek the support of the Ministry of Water Resources to establish this, because I believe that, with these results, Ministry of Water Resources should be the biggest champion for natural farming. That is my objective. But there's one very important objective. I'll just spend 1 minute on this because I realize I've run out of time. Water cycle. Water holds the clue to climate change. When you talk of climate change, everybody automatically talks of carbon dioxide. But 80% of greenhouse gases, 80% is water vapor, 11% carbon dioxide, 9% other gases. Global warming, the re-radiation from water vapor from bare soils actually accounts for 95% of global warming. 4% is carbon dioxide, 1% other gases. So water holds the key to saving mankind from climate change. So we can cool the planet safely, quickly, through natural farming, through 365 days green cover, through tree cover, a variety of practices which ensure that the soil is kept cool. The water, instead of running off, is actually stored in the soil as a subsoil reservoir. Every acre of land should become a reservoir. Then investment of government in constructing reservoirs, etc., comes down. Every inch of land should become a water reservoir. So we're also taking our technology to other states and other countries. Many states have expressed interest. In fact, Odisha government and we are likely to conclude an MOU in the next 2 weeks. Kerala government, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Himachal, Bihar, Chhattisgarh and Meghalaya are other states which have shown interest. We're also supporting other countries, and we're also supported by UN Environment, FAO, KfW Bank, GIZ, Germany, Azim Premji Philanthropy, etc. So my last slide. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. So are we doing a good job? That is something left to each one of us to answer. But if you feel that we can do something, then I suggest that farming in harmony with nature is perhaps the best way each citizen can participate in saving the planet, saving ourselves. Planet will be there. Planet will not go anywhere. Dinosaurs were also there at one point of time. You don't find them now. So thank you very much for this opportunity, Ashok. Over to you now.
Thank you, sir. It's really unbelievable thing what we are so. In fact, as you rightly mentioned, we had this talk organized. Water Change program was organized on, if I remember, September 2019, I believe. We did that in the Scope Complex Hall, and he came to make the presentation.
Yeah, November 2009.
November 2009. Yeah. That was part of our Sahi Fasal campaign, but then we got stuck into the COVID, and then we went after catching the rain. But sir, amazing, sir, that people are. You have initiated that thinking process of looking agriculture through the prism of water. That's one aspect. But not only the mechanical water or water stored in dams and etc. This is the water in the air. You said that 10 rivers in the air can be used for. It is just a mind-blowing thing, but and it is backed by so much of evidence. I'm really surprised that the coverage you could bring it in the for that particular field, a barren field all around. a sort of oasis in the middle, and getting the money, earning every day or every week. It's really amazing, and that is probably the best intervention in livelihood. So there are a couple of points. Then I will leave to other questions, because I can always ask you some questions if people are interested. So from the more crop from crop, that's probably the theme which we have been telling. But I have been always advocating, trying to say, is more income per drop. It's not more crop per drop. It should be more income per drop, because it's ultimately in a monetized economy. People are interested in money, not interested in more bags of rice or more kilos of paddy. Last time I did 5 bags, this time I want 20 bags. That's not the competition. How much money you get is what matters. And when you get net income of the farmer, is, as rightly said, it is the expenditure, income minus the expenditure. So if you can widen the gap, reduce the expenditure and increase the income, that will be the best solution to increase the net income of the farmer. So that's where the Prime Minister's goal of doubling the farmer's income. I think we should say net income of farmer instead of putting. I mean, this is all small nuances of word, but that makes not a difference. It's not doubling the income of farmer. If you double the income of the farmers and you double the expenditure of farmer, it doesn't make any sense. We should double the net income of farmer. That should be the I think idea. And second is, as I said, it should be more income per drop, not more crop per drop, which I think, this is something which we can push it through. And this is really amazing, sir. The innovation, and particularly I am very familiar with these scenes of what you showed in Kadapa, in Anandapur, because I was collected Kadapa. And incidentally, sir, I had changed the name from Kudapa to Kadapa. From CUDDAPA to KADAPA. So because I wanted to rebrand Kadapa from a very harsh, very brown district to a green district. So that's why I said we requested the CM at that time to change it from Kudapa to Kadapa, and then after it's Vaisar Kadapa district. That apart, sir, the use of natural fertilizers like Bijamrit and that Ghana Jivamrit and all, it's really amazing. But I don't know why the agriculture people are not picking it up. I don't know whether you are doing something on it. So this is a wonderful thing for us. We will definitely look into it, and if the climate change, in fact, there's another interesting thing which I suddenly occurred to me, sir. In water resources and climate change aspects, we always talk about adaptive nature of the water resource management. We never talk about a mitigation, because mitigation is always handled by the solar energy, and then less battery and less fuel and all. So this is a very interesting way of mitigation of the climate change. So this is probably, I don't know why people have missed it out. Maybe we can try it out, as you rightly said. If the barren land is contributing too much of climate change, probably we'll have to look at that. So it's very amazing, sir. I'm very impressed. I'm very extremely motivated by what you have done, sir. We will try to push it through to the water possible extent. The only way which National Water Mission can help you is getting at wider platform. So we are also studying reserve star nation, but when probably in the Namami Ganges side, sir, we will try to get it when I'm going next. Next month probably I'll be going there, sir, as Namami Ganges. We'll try to take it up in the natural farming in UP and all, where there's a lot of water being used for agriculture. So that will be one contribution which I can probably guarantee in the next month. So I stop it, yes, sir, with this unbelievable figures which we have put in up with the income of farmers going up so many times over the years. It's really interesting, sir. And you are also able to increase the number of people with you rather than dwindling number. It is number is going exponentially up, means the people are seeing some value in it. That's the best, as they say, the best efficacy of pudding is in the taste and eating. So you have actually shown to the farmers, and if the farmers are spreading the word, that means it is good for them. There's no other way of I stop it here, sir. I'll open the questions. Anupama, we can go for the questions, because people will be interested in questions.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge base and sharing your experiences, sir, here. And let me tell you before we open for the question answer session that there are a lot of compliments coming in from the people who have joined us from various social media platforms. And there are a lot of students and people from Nav Yuva Kendra and NSS as well. And of course, a couple of comments I was just going through that, they were looking at certain interventions in UP as well, and they were saying that this is one of the areas which is where water needs to be taken care of properly. And so for now we'll officially open for the question answer session, and for all those who have joined us for the first time through this platform, I would just quickly introduce you with the format. You can put up your question in the chat box. You can also raise your hand and unmute yourself and introduce yourself and put forward your questions. For all those who have joined us from social media, I could see a couple of comments which I have noted down and I'll be taking it up. And in case you still have, you please write there on various platforms. We are live from almost 8 platforms of all the wings of ministry as well as Water Digest. So now we are officially open for the question answer session. You may please raise your hand or put it up in the chat box. Okay. So I'll take up the question, sir, which has come through the chat box as well as Facebook. So the first one is by Sarda Krishnan, who says, what does the future of natural farming look like, sir?
It is the future of farming.
Okay.
That
So-
means we have reached a dead end, the way we are doing agriculture. So, because you see the climate change consequences of agriculture are estimated to be 34%. And when there is a very rapid movement on reducing emissions to renewable energy, to various sources. So when that balance, you have seen in Glasgow, many countries have given commitments by what time they'll phase out fossil fuels. So we haven't seen similar commitments on the agriculture side. So I have no doubt if we don't change, this will be the single most important cause for climate crisis. And I may also, inform everyone that our weather has become very, very unpredictable. Water cycle is in a disequilibrium. So you are getting rains when you should not get rains. You're not getting rains when you should get rains. And you're having very intense rainfall on one day equal to sometimes 2-3 months rainfall, and then no rainfall for rest of the year. So humankind is, in for a very, very big crisis. It's like if we have, I would say, if we are careful that we must protect ourselves, we must do everything possible, whether it is farming, whether it is the fuels, whether the way we construct our houses, we should do everything possible to save ourselves. So I hope
in the water and climate change, water has the best manifestation of the effect of climate change, whether it is
absolutely
because as you rightly mentioned, the changing of the rain pattern or intensity of rain coming up in big, very high way, which is also causing a lot of damages because of the floods and all these things. Sir.
Exactly.
Water is a manifestation or the most patent visible manifestation of climate change.
Absolutely.
But somehow, most of the thing, if you look at it, even our NDC, National Development Contributions,
I know that.
also do not speak anything about water. We are actually trying to become adaptive.
Ashok, it's like this. If every acre of land is able to store water, then you will not have runoffs, you will not have reservoirs going burst, like what happened in Kadapa, a major disaster. I mean, it happens everywhere. So worldwide now, there is a rethink on the climate impact of water. Water is the biggest greenhouse gas. I mentioned 80% of greenhouse gas is water vapor. So what more evidence you require? You have to move on water, and more important, this is one factor we can change. By changing our farming activity, we are actually, if you keep the ground cool, then heat is not radiated. In fact, I must tell all of you that, we are in the running for a challenge award, about $100 million, this thing on cooling the planet safely. So this work that we are doing of cooling the planet through this 365 days green cover, scientists are now looking at the cooling impact of this. Till now, it was only on emission reduction.
Exactly.
But I think people are realizing that it's more complex. So we need to look at this. There's a growing group of international climate scientists who are looking at the water solution.
As you rightly mentioned, sir, our Catch the Rain campaign also we are trying to push through during that to store the water where it falls when it falls. That, if you remember, that was the theme of it.
Correct.
So if you want to store water where it falls when it falls, it has to be the aquifer, it has to be the soil, topsoil, it has to be the carbon sponge, which you are talking about. It's basically, we are in sync with that, sir. And as
Also,
you
see, you must reduce the intensity of water when it lands on the soil.
Yes, sir.
So ideally, it should hit a tree first. Then the speed gets slow. Then it should hit a plant. So it should actually kiss the ground, they say.
Yes, sir.
Not hit it so hard
That
that's also taking away soil. So therefore, the agroforestry, trees in the landscape, living root, that's why I said 365 days green cover. So water is not hitting the bed soil. So this actually, if we are not blind, if we keep our eyes open and see the wonderful ways in which nature has designed this, then we find the solutions as a very, in a very seamless manner.
But sir, problem is that we are blinkered by the science and technology or the WhatsApp. That's what we always blinkered and try to think in one way. So one small example, again, I said, if you remember, sir, in Adilabad, when we tried to push in the soybean in 1995, when I was PUITD, and sir was the Suma sir was the collector there. We pushed through soybean, and sir, from 10,000 acres, now it has come to about 3.6 lakh acres now. The people have accepted it. So, as you rightly said, sir, if the people are accepting your way of natural farming, probably in maybe 5-6 years, Anantapur would become green. It will become really Anantapur. It will become Anantapur, sir.
It should. Yes, Anupama?
Yes, sir. So there is another one. What resources are required to carry out a larger project based on natural farming?
I already mentioned that as it is, our program is the largest in the world. So now the largest program I can think of is All India, 140 million hectares of land, and maybe another 50-60 million hectares of degraded land. So country as a whole, we need to look at it. But it is self-financing, as I mentioned. It will save money for government, apart from benefits to the people. So that's why I mentioned that, with the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Water Resources, entire government resources, it's a very cost-effective kind of intervention.
Yes, sir. How does the Andhra Pradesh community set a precedent? And do you think their efforts will encourage more people to take up natural farming?
Yes, you see, people are looking for inspiration. People are looking for solutions. So as I mentioned, we now have 12 state governments which are interested in understanding what we are doing, interested in, taking it forward. We also have NGOs from across the country. There is now a national coalition for natural farming. So NGOs across the country are part of this. I'm also on the steering committee. So there's a lot of interest. And I believe that every citizen in the country, especially young people, they have a role in taking this forward because it's also good for livelihoods. Apart from saving ourselves, we say saving the planet. Planet will go on. Planet, nothing will happen to the planet. Human beings may not be there. So it's an existential crisis. So everybody should do it before it becomes too late.
Yes.
That is the worry.
How is it different from organic farming, sir? Organic farming and natural farming.
As you saw, that not great difference, but you can say organic input-based farming versus this is categorized as regenerative agriculture. You see the Jivamrit, Ghana Jivamrit that we apply, they are not fertilizers. You need only 400 kilograms per acre. Whereas typically the advice is you use 10 tons of farmyard manure. And that's why the question came that farmers don't have that many cattle. So here we are not using this cow dung based formulation as a fertilizer. We are using them as a biostimulant. I use the word biostimulant. So therefore one cow can actually take care of 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres. Whereas if you go by the traditional calculation of organic farming, you may require about 10 cows for every acre of land, which is not at all feasible. That's why we went for synthetic substitutes. So this technology is different. Understanding of nature is different. So it is not input dependent. In fact, our farmers who have done 365 days green cover or who are doing natural farming, they are saying now they need to use less of cow dung because the soil has become fertile. So you saw that picture of the microbial world below. So when that becomes optimum, you really don't need any cow dung after that. It itself, is recycling because the food is coming from the plants. We think that soil is giving food to the plants. No, plants are giving food to the soil. And then there's a beautiful exchange process set up by nature. So it is different in that sense. It is similar because both are free from synthetic chemicals, but it's different in terms of input intensity. Yeah, Anupama?
Yes, sir. So not much questions now, and you're right, but still a lot of us are oblivious of the fact that.
Sir, one thing, sir, Sikkim has taken up, it's declared to be the first organic state.
Correct.
So, whether this can be tried out in Sikkim in a larger way, or whether temperature has anything to do with that, because Sikkim is a cold climate area.
No, Ashok, you see, there are different systems for temperate climate countries. Like USA, for instance, for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you can't take any crops. But even there is regenerative agriculture methodology. So, no, I'm sure Sikkim itself must be doing a lot of very good practices. If there's any gap there, they can, build in. But then what they have done is remarkable work. They need to be complimented. And I wonder what the effect on water saving. If there are some studies there, it will be very useful to understand that. But each principles are the same. The principles that I listed are same. Practices will vary depending on the temperature, depending on the culture, depending on the soil, but principles are the same.
Generally, sir, I just got a question from Rajya Sabha. One of the questions says the details of water intensive cropping patterns and steps taken by government to shift farmers from highly water intensive crops to low water intensive crops, and state and climate specific plans to reduce water intensive cropping patterns. So I think I should ask you to give can we wind up in 1655?
So, sir, just one more thing. I just wanted to say that yes, it is thank you, like I said, for sharing these insights. And still, a lot of us are oblivious of the fact that natural farming is contributing in such a big way. So, the last question, you already left us wondering that what are we doing and where do we stand in terms of our contributions towards the nature. So, sir, there is one last question which comes up, and wherein the person, Dr. Amit, I guess, yes, he is wanting to know what are the kind of efforts being made and spreading awareness regarding natural farming, sir? That's the last question for today.
Yeah, no, in our state, we take up villages one by one, and in those villages, we go to every household. We have the women self-help groups because 90% of women in the rural areas are part of these groups. So we are doing, people-to-people campaign. But Amit's question is very important. How does it go all over the country? Well, it's a good question. I don't have the answer, but it's a very good question. Maybe more media awareness. Ashok himself said, not many people are aware of this. So the fact that it can be done, actually, Anupama, it's a very different way of looking at things. See, water has become the subject of engineers. You dig, you build, so it's physics, my old subject. Whereas agriculture has become chemistry. You put urea, you put ammonia, you put this, you put that. So, but whereas a crop is life, biology. So biology has been forgotten. So what I have done is, we have taken help of biology to influence physics and also to influence chemistry. So that's all that we have. But I strongly believe that students, youth should be aware of this because it is, as I told you, we have borrowed the planet from them. So as elders, have we done a good job? I would say no. We have done a terrible job. So it is something literally stolen from the next generation. Stolen, spoiled. So that is the magnitude of the crime.
Sir,
And
very,
who's going
very,
to suffer?
very nicely said, sir. But so the problem is we are up against fertilizer companies. We are up against the as you rightly said, engineers who are interested in building more dams. Maybe now catch the rain campaign also decentralized storage water. People may not be interested because it has no money involved because it's only asking everybody to participate in it. So it's like a huge a set of people out there who are interested in making money by building more dams or make more concrete structures. That's one, the physics part of it, or more selling more fertilizers and chemicals and then pump sets and all these things, so that the farmer perpetually remains under their thumb and they get more money. So this is a very, very innovative breakthrough. Probably, as you rightly said, we have to get it to the children. So they have to claim back their planet from us and tell you that you better do this so that we get our planet back. Maybe
I can think of the example of the literacy campaign, if you remember.
Yes,
so literacy campaign was a national movement where we took this message to every household. We had volunteers for every 10 people. So I'm, answering Amit's question. I'm thinking of the even in your case, the National Water Mission, the way in which you're spreading the awareness. So something like that is required to take it to everyone. But once they are aware, want to take action, then we need to have this happening in every state, every district, every block. And therefore, our discussions with other states, even the Ministry of Rural Development, they are very keen to take it up as part of the National Rural Livelihoods Mission. So actually, Anupama, the answer is people are becoming aware, and I'm a very optimistic person. So I really hope that if all of us are conscious that there is a solution available, because the crisis is very, very, very what shall we say? It's existential crisis, not a normal crisis. COVID is nothing compared to the crisis that we are going to face when the climate emergency hits us. So we should do our best to take it forward. And I see this talk as an opportunity to spread awareness. So I'm really thankful to the Water Mission for this opportunity.
Sir, this talk is will be available on our websites, and a lot of people will keep on downloading it, watching it. Because as you rightly said, this is many people come back and watch the video. Even I would again go back and see because I'm writing down points and also it's better that this is available on our website, so people will also be watching it. So I would that this can really help in making India a bigger movement in the country, sir.
Yeah.
So, Anubhav, can we close now? Okay. I thank our, I would say, mentor also, Vijay Kumar sir, for coming out with such simple solutions, with such cost-effective, environmental-friendly, people-oriented solutions, which can really make a lot of difference to our own existential crisis. But somehow these simple solutions, nature-based solutions, are all down in the din of advertising jargon, jingles, and all the mega campaigns launched by those money bags. So probably, sir, the people's movement has to begin. We'll have to get the, as you rightly mentioned, the women's group. Actually, they have a lot of influence. Probably now, women have a better say in the house also. I think over the
Yes.
period probably. So they will be able to convince their family and also to go for less cost crops and go for this natural farming, and probably through them we can make the huge differences, and hope that your optimism will survive, and the type of projection of exponential growth farmers coming into it is taken up. At least, as I said, if Anantapur can really transform into an Anantapur and then can be a showcasing for the people, sir, it will be the best, because as you rightly said, 16 years of out of 20 years drought. Anantapur is known for very severe drought, sir. Even though people do not, North Indian people may not know that Anantapur is such a very severely droughted place. But if that can be transformed, sir, and be showcased, definitely, sir, it is going to be a big feature. So we are looking at a very futuristic solution. Probably maybe 20-40 people may remember our talk and say that yes, we thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for taking your time, sir, and also for giving a new perspective, because Tech Talk, as you rightly said, we were all more into technology of maybe data management, of computers, of probably artificial intelligence or precision irrigation. Talked about natural irrigation. You talked about irrigation from the air. You talked about using cow dung and Jivamrita, which is a natural based bio fertilizer and bio catalyst, which you mentioned. Thank you, sir, for a new perspective. I'm sure that people who have listened to it will be inspired, and they will tell the people to watch this video and get more and more inspired about it, sir. Thanks once again for the wonderful and very informative, innovative talk which you do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for today's Tech Talk. I'm sure you found it informative. And like Ashokji mentioned, it is also available on National Water Mission's website and on our social media. In case you have missed it, a part of it, you want to see it again, please go back and have a look at it. And do not miss the next upcoming talk, which is Water Talk, on the next Friday. So till then, take care and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.